pray for your wisdom and direction as we deliberate on the county's business. We also want to remember those folks who need help from you, especially the people in California, those fires. We just ask you to calm the winds and bring them some rain, Lord. Thank you for all you do for us. We do pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. And join me in the pledge to the United States flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Good morning, everybody. I do want to welcome new Commissioner Austin Coos this morning. Congratulations on your first meeting. We're happy to have you. And just, we haven't done this since we've had the same court for a while, but generally we follow Robert's Rules of Order. And in our voting, all in favor is aye, any opposed is nay. Some folks do the same sign, but I'm aye, nay guy. So when you get ready to vote against something, you'll know. Are there any announcements today? Anybody? Any public comments? We do have a quorum present today. Present voting, Precinct 1, Commissioner Hatfield. Precinct 2, Commissioner Timmons. Sims presiding. Precinct 3, Commissioner Coos. And Precinct 4 is Commissioner Ebar. Call our county court to order. It's Commissioner's Court to order. It's 9:03 a.m. here on the 28th day of January 2025. We are in the historic courthouse here in Marshall, Texas. First item on our agenda today is from our auditor. Good morning, Ms. Haynes.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Let's see, we're going to skip item number 1. There are no line item transfers, and go to item number 2, which is consideration and approval of payment of regular bills.
Requesting payment of $492,334.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Timmons, second by Commissioner Ebar. You guys have had a chance to review these. Were there any questions or comments on anything in our expenses? There are none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, our motion passes 5-0. Item number 3 is consideration and approval of payroll for January 17th, 2025. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hatfield, second by Commissioner Timmons. Any questions or comments on the payroll? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none,
Thank you.
motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Haynes. Next up, Road and Bridge. Morning, Mr. Davis.
Good morning, Your Honor. Commissioners, how y'all doing?
Good. You want to give us an update on anything y'all have going on?
Yes, sir. Right now, we're just focusing on patching, a lot of patch work, but material's been limited due to the weather, so the asphalt plant's not running at 100% capacity. So we do got both Durapatchers out and the Pro Patch out. So just bear with us, and we did receive our new unit for the sign truck. We got it rigged out, and this is his first day out in his new vehicle. So there's plenty of signs down too. So if y'all get any calls or notice them, just call them in to us, and we'll get them up as quick as possible.
Super. You mentioned to me earlier that y'all have just sent out a bunch of bills to oil companies. You want to mention just?
Yes, sir. We on Strickland Springs from Old Town to 2625. That's TGNR. They're gonna pay for the road oil for it to have it redone. It's just to the point now to where small cars are having a bad time getting up and down it. They've been keeping it up and patching on it, but it's just got to the point to where we're gonna have to do something with it. So, and we got some money for Blocker South, which was Comstock. and Owen George Road. We got some from Silver Hill coming in. I spoke with all them, and they're all on board about fixing it up for the communities and getting the roads back to the way they were before they moved in. So,
Hey, would you add Elbert Wells to that list?
Oh, it is
Rose
on there.
City they're in and out 24/7 trucks, because they're hauling all that out, and they're fixing to drill a couple more wells. But they've got two that they're producing right now, and I went down it this last weekend, it's getting in bad shape. So,
Elbert Page.
Yeah, Elbert Page, not Elbert. Yeah.
So we got plenty of work to do this summer, so.
But, you know, they tore it up.
Oh, yeah, it was in good shape
Yeah,
before they moved
right.
in on it.
And there's definitely some base problems in it where they come in there.
Yeah, I had spoke with them once before. We sort of waiting until they got
Okay.
through with their heavy hauling before we really got in there, you
Well,
know, so.
and I don't know where they're planning on padding, or if they're gonna bring back and drill some more on that pad, cause it's huge, but they've got two completed and producing now.
I'll reach out to them and
Okay.
find out.
All right, we'll move on to item number 1. This is consideration and approval of personnel changes for Harrison County Road and Bridge Department.
We've had one resignation since our last Commissioners Court meeting, so now we have 6 empty slots.
Is there a motion to approve?
No. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Timmons, second by Commissioner Ebar. I guess 6 empty spots at the moment's not a big deal for you.
Not this time of the year, but the oil field picking back up, we're starting to lose a lot of our employees to that.
You'll be trying to gather them up here
Yes, sir,
a month or two, won't you? All right.
we definitely will.
So the 5 is 6 instead of 5?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, our motion passes 5-0. Number 2, we'll skip number 2. We don't have any utility applications. That's pretty odd. We usually got 5.
Yeah, I know it. We might break another record today, huh?
Hey, let me ask you, look, let me ask you if y'all would do, for me personally, but I'm sure the rest of the commissioners would like it too, when we send out or get a voicemail, or we get an email, or we send a problem that somebody's called us about, we forward it out to y'all, is there any way that y'all can follow back up with us when it's been addressed or taken care of, or it's on the list, or you know, it's scheduled to be done? Because we continue to get that same person every 2 or 3 or 4 weeks or a month or whatever. They keep calling back, and it makes us, because we tell them we'll get it turned in, and then we never know if it's been taken care of. Is that asking too much?
No,
for them to-
not at all.
You know, once
Usually
they-
we get an email, we'll answer you in an email.
Okay.
Then we'll write the supervisor a note.
But once it's been addressed, could you let us know so
Yeah,
that we can, because I keep a list of, as they go through, if who's calling, where it's at, and then I forward it to y'all. But I never know, I
When
can't
it's
ever
done.
line anything off, because I don't know if it's been addressed yet. And if-
Sure.
I mean, if
Definitely.
yeah, if you could just drop us, email back that it's taken care of, or whatever, I'd appreciate it a bunch.
okay.
Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
Next up is our Sheriff's Department. Good morning, Lieutenant Knight.
Good morning, how are y'all? Doing all right.
Item number 1 is consideration and approval of the acceptance of an anonymous donation of Visitech Spy Spot K9 tracking devices in the amount of $1,301.52.
Yes, sir, y'all may remember retired General Scott Rodenhaver with Visitech. They met with us several months back over some security issues. They're also the company that's working with East Texas Baptist College University on their nursing program. Have got some fantastic AI software that's just unbelievable. One of their other ventures is they have developed a very small tracking device, not specifically just for canines. It can also be used for personnel. We wanted to experiment with the canines so that when we have situations where we have to put the dog out at nighttime, or if he can become separated from his handler and we can't locate the dog, this will give us a perfect way to do that. uses a GPS, combination of GPS and cell, so if one or the other is not available, it picks up on the other. And had a citizen that was kind enough to say, well, go get you 4 of them and I'll pay for them. So we're fixing to put those to work if y'all approve it.
We have 4 K-9s.
We're actually one short, and that was another thing I wanted to mention is that we had to retire one early for health issues, so I am going to be looking at some fundraising possibilities and other ways to raise some funds to replace a dog. Y'all may remember Tony, the guy up in Arkansas that we had, he passed away almost immediately after we got our first lot of dogs, and that's been a terrible, terrible loss to the canine industry. Tony was one of the best canine trainers that I've ever seen, and he was far less expensive. Just to let y'all know, the dogs that we got from Tony were around $10,000 a piece for a dual-purpose dog. We're now looking at anything from $15,000 and up for a dual-purpose dog. So they have.
Keep going.
Okay, so they have certainly not gotten any cheaper on us, but we will be looking for a replacement for that 4th dog.
Is there if I'm reading it right, 400 a year, or 440 a year?
Yes, sir. The units themselves were $200 a piece, and the remainder of the money was $10 a month for monitoring.
And that, the first year's included here.
Yes.
Subsequent years would be,
Yeah, we'll pick up the tab on the subsequent years.
Very good. Is there any other questions on this donation? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
second.
Motion by Commissioner Ewart, second by Commissioner Coos. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Item number 2 is consideration and approval of the communication site lease agreement between Harrison County and Enterprise Products Operating LLC.
Yes, sir. This is another benchmark in our radio improvement program. As y'all remember, back in the early stages when we were designing it, we had planned on using the old military tower up at Lee. Would have been an ideal place for the northeast corner of the county. However, we did not know at the time that there's no fiber available up there within 5 miles of that tower, so we had to look for a replacement, and it was either build one or find one, and we were very blessed to make contact with the people at Enterprise. They have a 400-foot tower, actually 440, and it's right there at the intersection where a lot of road comes into 134. So it's very close to the interstate, so that's going to be a good equalizing spot for that side of the county. And they have been gracious enough to offer us the space that we need at no cost to us. You'll see on the lease that they're offering it to us with a 5-year lease with 3 5-year options to renew. So that'll carry us through the next 20 years, and the cost is 0.
So the equipment basically has already been spoken for, but the tower y'all will put it on is not.
Say that again.
The equipment, the antennas. And
Yes,
the boxes,
the equipment's in the warehouse. It's already been purchased and just waiting to get this signed, and I expect that will probably get installed in the next 60 days.
Enterprise is a pipeline operator.
Yes.
I'm not sure why they have such a nice big tower, but gosh, it's.
Well, just because of, that is unusual for it to be that tall, but I guess they just wanted to get the jump on things because Harrison County, as you know, is very hilly, and with our pine timber forests, that's one of the reasons that we've always had trouble communicating is you have to hit a lot of spots to make sure that you've got coverage, everywhere. So that the taller the tower, the better off you are.
Very good. Before you send this executed lease, if we approve it here in a minute, back to them, we'll send them a thank you note.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Matter of fact, just so y'all be aware of what myself and George Arnold have talked about, because there are a lot of people in this deal that have worked together to make this thing happen. George over at MCA and I had talked about having a get-together once we light this thing up and get everything working right for all the parties that were involved. And just so that we'll have an opportunity to say thank you to everybody. Probably maybe do something here during the commission meeting, and then plan a dinner for everybody, something like that. And MCA said, I think they can handle that. And also, I'd ask you to do one other thing for me, if you would. Our little friend from TxDOT, Gordon Harkey, he and his wife are both extremely ill with COVID. I wish y'all would keep them in your prayers. Gordon is also battling a rare form of psoriatic arthritis, and he just in recent weeks got some experimental medicine approved so that he could take that. And just to give you an idea, this latest blast that he's had with it, his pain level has been anywhere from 9.5 to 9 3/4 out of a scale of 1 to 10. So he is in extreme pain. And then after they have both contracted COVID, his doctor told him that he can't take that medicine until he gets over the COVID. So, and his doctor told him he's also about a hair away from being put in the hospital. So he could use our prayers a whole lot.
We'll be happy to. He has been awfully helpful.
Yes, sir. Yeah, Gordon is the guy that's really making this thing tick, because he's responsible for TxDOT communications statewide. And so he's always on the go. And matter of fact, this was not the first project they've done but it's the first one that they've done to this extent. When you look at all the parties that are involved, matter of fact, he's using us and the city and Tex Warren and everybody as kind of a pattern of what they need to do elsewhere in the state to get everything accomplished because they're after the same goal we are. We need, countywide communications. He needs his to be statewide. So he's on our side 100%.
Very good.
Are they restricting the height that they're gonna allow the antennas to be on this tower? I mean, at what height are they gonna let you put them? Because I think the higher we could go, the better off we'd be too.
Well, and that's what I thought too. But they've got it planned to put them at 250 feet. Now why they selected that height, I can't tell you. But there was room to go higher. But I'm not the engineer.
That's what Motorola's.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Very good. Any other questions? We have a motion to approve this communication site lease agreement with Enterprise Products.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Coos, second by Commissioner Timmons. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, our motion passes 5-0. Item number 3 is consideration and approval of the 2024 Harrison County Sheriff's Office Racial Profiling Report. Mr. Swain, I see y'all are still using Dale Carmen, who's kind of the leader in
Yes,
this
yes, sir.
reporting for across the state.
Yeah, still very happy with his work.
And he will, his summary, he was agreeable with how we're operating, and
He says we're doing a great job.
very good. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hatfield, second by Commissioner Ebarb. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, our motion passes 5-0. Item number 4 is another donation. This is consideration approval to accept a donation from David Thomas, the amount of $200, which will be used for our Harrison County Sheriff's K-9 program. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ebarb, second by Commissioner Coos. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. And I always want to mention Mr. Thomas.
Yes, sir. Mr. Coos, you'll get to where you recognize that name. Mr. Thomas is just steady as clockwork. They started out giving us $100 a month, and here about a year ago, they upped it to $200 a month. And just regular as clockwork, his check comes in my office on the 15th of the month. And I tried to get a chance to get him around to meet some of y'all at the banquet the other night, but the K-9 guys really take care of him. They've taken him and his wife to some of the training so that they can see that, and taken them to dinner a few times. And he just loves our bunch of guys. But he came to the banquet Saturday night and was just thrilled. So I'm sure at some point you'll get to meet him. Great gentleman.
I would have loved to have met him. If I don't see him between now and next year, please introduce me.
Yeah, you bet you.
That'd be great. Super.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you.
Next up from our county clerk, this is consideration and approval of the transcribed minutes of Commissioners Court meeting of January 14th, 2025. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Timmons, second by Commissioner Ebarb. You guys had a chance to review those. I guess there are no questions or corrections or comments.
Corrections were sent in.
Corrections were sent in?
Yes.
You already had them corrected. All right, very good. We got a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes 5-0. Next up from our treasurer. Morning, Ms. Rushing.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Item number 1 is consideration and action regarding the approval of the treasurer's monthly report for December 2024 and authorization to publish on the county website pursuant to local government code 114.026.
For the month of December, our beginning balance was $2,115,774.67.
Yep.
And receipts, $5,699,689.34. Disbursements, $5,603,043.32. Cash ending plus our investments for the month of December, we ended the month of December with $22,255,089.48.
Is there a motion to approve our 2024 treasurer's, December 2024 treasurer's monthly report?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hatfield, second by Commissioner Ebarb. Any questions or comments? Looks like y'all are getting in some, tax receipts in there. Is that what drove up our receipts?
We have been, yes, sir. They've been coming in, and we have asked the tax office, and they have, for January, the month of January, they did a semi-monthly report versus a monthly report, which helps us out as far as investments and drawing interest.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any other questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Number 2 is consideration and approval of the Harrison County Treasurer's investment report for December 2024.
For the month of December in Texas class, we began the month with $1,126,248.50. Interest earned was $4,536.07. Ending balance for Texas class, $1,130,784.57. Texas Bank and Trust, we no longer, we depleted the funds that we had with Ameriprise. So for right now, we only have the other investment as Texas Bank and Trust Wealth Management, and we have $18,911,884.22 with an investment total of $20,042,668.79. Interest earned from Texas Bank and Trust Wealth Management for the month of December was $65,452.72. For our money market, we earned interest of $7,643.73. Ending balance for the money market for December was $1,949,587.84. Texas Bank and Trust main account, we earned interest of $2,426.03 with an interest total for December $80,058.55 with a year-to-date interest total of $198,493,000.
$198,493 for, that's the last 3 months.
Yes, sir, from October through December. And we are looking, as we get tax money in now, we're looking at investing more money in trying to get the better interest rate.
Probably with wealth management.
Probably so. I mean, I met with Becky, the auditor, and Judge Sims, and we have looked at that, and we will be discussing that again. I was working on quarterly reports this week, but yes, we will be revisiting that.
Very good. Is there a motion to approve our investment report for December 2024?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Timmons, second by Commissioner Coos. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Next up, from purchasing, good morning, Ms. Haynes.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners.
Item number 1 is consideration of approval to declare the following listed fixed assets to include 5 intercom radios. These are the serial numbers, 2101-323, 310-1310, 210-1308, 210-1324, and 210-1595. Also, 1 Canon copier, which is item number 11294, 3 vehicles, which are items 11390, 11460, and item 11479. These will all be listed as salvage and or surplus and to appropriately dispose of said items.
Yes, sir.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Ebar, second by Commissioner Timmons. Hatfield beat me.
It's okay.
All right, motion by Commissioner Ebar, second by Commissioner Hatfield. And, Ms. Haynes, I understand, I think these radios, those are the ones we're giving away to
That the Sheriff's Department wants to donate them to another department, yes.
Lakewater Police Department.
Yes, yes, sir.
And I was gonna wait till we get to that item, but since you brought it up, you know, we talk, these are not radios that we're accessing because of the new Motorola that we'll be getting in once they start arriving for the deputies. But I know we talked a year or more ago that if there was any radio equipment that would benefit our volunteer fire departments and our ESDs, that we make sure that before we access, that they don't have a need, that it would work. Are these something that won't work for them? Well, I mean, I don't know what an intercom radio is, but I mean, is that not something that possibly would benefit the smaller ESDs that hadn't got the funds to start replacing? I know some of the larger ones have already started transitioning over.
Yeah, that really wasn't doing them any good. I mean, that's the point now for them to transition to the new radios. So this would actually be taking a step back.
But I know that we were gonna run the old system alongside the new system once it's kicked off, because there is some of the volunteer fire departments, until that older system is unfixable or you can't get parts for it, and then it'll be cut off at some point, and everybody, but it was gonna give them a couple of years, we hoped, to transition over for the smaller departments to start buying those things along for the next couple of years in their budgets. And that was I thought that was our understanding, and then I noticed that we were accessing these, and then later on we were giving them, accessing them and giving them to the Gladewater. So, you know, my question is, do we have any of the local ESDs or volunteer fire departments that could use these radios before we give them to somebody out of county, if we're gonna access them?
I don't know, I wasn't involved in that transaction,
Okay.
but my guess would be
I know we're gonna have a bunch of radios come out when the Motorola's come in and y'all start swapping those out. But that was my big question, because I think that before we access them out of the county, I don't have a problem with that, but I have a problem if we have some of our smaller departments that this is better than what they currently got.
just what
Should
my
we-
involvement's been in it. They're all trying to figure out how to go with the new stuff. They're not worried about it.
They're not okay.
I hadn't heard any expression.
Well, I'm gonna reach out to the 3 or 4 of the smaller departments, because 3 of the 4 are in my precinct, and make sure, I mean, this is just the start of what's fixing to happen, but I just don't wanna see us ship stuff out and access it or selling it salvage or whatever, if it's still usable for some of these smaller departments. So,
Commissioner Ebar, are you asking that in the future, moving forward, that we would check to see if they could be used here in this county before, you know?
yeah,
that-
well, I think.
That may have been done, I just wasn't privy
Okay.
to it, I don't know.
Well, like I said, I'll reach out to a couple of the department chiefs that are in my precinct and make sure, and it might be something that they can't use. And I'm fine with giving it to somebody that can, rather than excess it and selling it for $2 a piece or whatever, you know, but, I just wanna make sure that we cover our local bases first before we, you know, that they're in the, at least check with them.
Zane, you shed some light on that for us?
My understanding, there are a lot of these radios, and they're in a room upstairs on the fourth
Okay.
floor, and Kaylee Wallace is taking inventory of all of them for me, and we'll have a list. And it's my understanding that this department that they're donating to does not have the capability to upgrade to anything, and what they're using is obsolete. And so they had 5 that they wanted to do.
Take care
Well,
of the obsolete.
Well, these are an upgrade to
than what they
them.
got.
Yes, and so, they had approached the sheriff's department about that. But it's my understanding that there's a lot more radios, and I think that's a great idea to see. I don't know
Well, I think we're
what
gonna
the other
have
ones.
plenty once that transition starts.
Yes,
but I
sir.
just want us to be mindful that, you know, as we work through this. that-
Right,
that-
exactly.
You might pass that along if you would, Lieutenant.
Sure.
Just to get them to double check that no ESD needs any of this before we give it away. It may be possible. Very good.
These 3 vehicles, are they road and bridge or sheriff department that we're
These,
rolling out?
All 3 sheriff departments.
yeah, our sheriff's department, and these are part of that enterprise where they're swapping out vehicles. And so,
2 Fords and a Tahoe.
Okay, thank you.
done. That's what,
I'm just curious, no
Yeah.
particular reason.
right, they're swapping up that, we have to put them through before they can pick them up.
Oh,
Yes, these are enterprise vehicles, yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0. Under new business, item number 1, this is consideration and action regarding the approval of the establishment of the sexual assault response team pursuant to the local government code, chapter 351, and the members to include T.C. Livingston from the sheriff's office, Scotty Smith from Marshall PD, Madison Hood from our DA's office, the same nurse Kimberly Allen, Roxanne Stevenson from the Martin House, Jerica Maxey from the Women's Center, Patty Brady from Community Health Corps, and myself, Chad Sims from the county. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Timmons, second by Commissioner Ebar. This is an organization that the state requires us to establish. We're a little late on getting this going, but thanks to Madison Hood, she is getting it up and running. And I should have mentioned, there's one more that's not listed on here. No, I said it, Patty Brady. Yep, we're all good with our initial board to manage this committee. Any other questions or comments about our sexual assault response team? If not, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, our motion passes 5-0. Item number 2 is consideration and approval for the 2024-25 annual contract and authorization of payment in the amount allotted in fiscal year 24-25 for the Harrison County Soil and Water Conservation District. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ewart, second by Commissioner Coos. This is, the dollar amount here is $4,500. That's our annual contribution to the Harrison County Soil and Water Conservation District, to fund their operations.
I would ask if we reach out, to this organization to make sure they understand where we stand on the sale of our water, even though Lake of the Pines is not in Harrison County, but it borders us with Marion, and I know they started their meetings last night, Mr. Timmons and I talked about this earlier. I would hope that 5 of the 7 cities that are involved in that vote nay and not sell our water out of Lake of the Pines from East Texas, but I think that they're gonna be probably somewhere in this conversation, and I would hope that we,
So we don't have, the court doesn't have an official opinion on that, because we've not brought it to to any discussion here.
well, the court don't, but
I believe that.
okay, all right. So we need to add it to an agenda for the next meeting?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Charlene, would you? Okay, I'll get it. I'll request it.
We'll do it. We'll do it. I think it's a good thing for us to talk about and discuss.
Excuse me, I'll wait.
No, you're fine.
I'll retract that. I'll wait till we get it on the agenda.
But I think that's a great idea. We'll take that up at our next meeting, unless we need to do it sooner. And then if we do, we'll call a special meeting.
I can wait till we.
All right. Very good. We have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? Not all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, our motion passes 5-0. Next up, this morning, we have a report by our elections administrator. Good morning, Mr. Robinette.
Good morning, Judge Sims and Commissioners. Welcome, Commissioner Coos. All right. I sent this to you by way of email there as well, but I thought I'd try to just share a few thoughts. I think in the last court, excuse my sinus drainage this morning, please, we have, I believe at the last court, thanked everyone for their help and assistance in the most previous election. And I want to thank my co-workers, Cynthia Caswell and Sharon Dollahite, for all the work that they do in the office. If it wasn't for them bearing a lot of the load of the work of that office, we wouldn't be able to function over there. Of course, I have my responsibilities, and they have theirs, and so they do a good job for us. I want to thank HR and thank the auditor and the treasurer's office, because during elections we have extra workers, and they all do an excellent job keeping everything up to date with us. I believe we had 107 temporary poll workers during this past election, so it's a lot of work on them as well in getting that done. We want to express our thanks to the Sheriff's Office as well as the Marshall Police Department, because not knowing the political climate of that election, I'd asked for extra support in surveying the polling places, and they were gracious to give that. The Sheriff's Office, since the last legislature met, we are required to have a peace officer at every meeting of the early voting ballot board, and so the Sheriff's Office has graciously provided us that for the last several years now. So we praise the Lord for that. I also want to just thank God for our answered prayers, because we did a lot of praying that everything would work well and people work good together, and I believe that was answered in a tremendous way, and so we praise God for that. And so we also want to thank this Commissioner's Court for your support of the Elections Office, and always there to assist us in any ways that you can, and so we do thank you guys as well. We do have a lot of, being in elections is kind of like being the preacher of a church. He only works on Sunday, so some people think, but there's a lot of work that goes on starting Monday in sermon preparation, so we're kind of that way there. It looks like, hey, you only work certain times, but always behind the scene there is a tremendous amount of things that need to be done, and we have several projects that we're just completing or getting near completion, and starting on some others at this time. Last summer we spent a good portion of the summer cleaning, I can't think of the other word I'm looking for, certifying, yeah, and the machines, and also we did a thing that we had not done before to the extent that we did it this past year. I set up a dummy election and tested every single piece of equipment before it went out. I wanted to be sure that when we got to the November election that everything was working. And so I voted for Mickey Mouse and Ronald McDonald and different people like that on my dummy election, just to set it all up and make sure that it would work and cleaned and certified and so on. And so I didn't actually ever run a report to see who actually won. I just mostly wanted to run the race there to make sure that everything was working, from testing the cords that connect things to actually firing them up and making sure they came on and those kind of things. We're already beginning the work on the next upcoming election, which will be the city school election, which is set to take place the first Saturday in May. I believe that's the 3rd. And as of the moment, we have possible elections if people decide to run with MISD and Wascom ISD, maybe the city of Wascom. I believe pretty sure that Ore City and New Diana ISDs will be holding elections. And since we do not have another major election going on in that part of the county, what we'll probably do, and I've already talked with Lori Harrell over at Upshur, just sending our voters to those schools over there, because they'll be voting at the schools anyway. Between those two schools, I believe we have about 130 residents in Harrison County that are in those school districts that overlap into Harrison. And so she will again do as we've sometimes done in the past when Harleton wasn't having an election, and let those voters go to the school over there and vote, and we'll do what we have to do to work with her to get that accomplished.
Mr. Robinette, was it probably closer to go vote at the school than it would be to come to Harleton and vote?
Yes, sir, yeah, it would be. And then whenever you hold an election, you have to follow the timeline that's set up by the state. And so that would mean opening a polling place out there for at least from 8 to 5 that first week, 2 12-hour days the second week, and paying 3 or 4 people to be there that entire time. So that runs up a pretty good sum of money for 130 voters who may or may not show up. Typical turnout, the November election had 62% turnout, I believe it was. And so not everybody that's registered to vote turns out to vote. So it would be more cost effective for the schools as well as for the county, just for them to go ahead and go vote at their school, since there's no one there to hold a joint election with. And so that's why we have looked at that. Also, I stated on here, it is a legislative year, and every time the Texas legislature meets, there's always bills that have to do with election law. And that's why we try to make it a point as our office to all go to the election law seminar that's usually held in July or August after the legislature meets, so the Secretary of State can explain all these new laws to us and how we're to approach them and carry them out and so on. Before the legislature already are several bills. One of them is in regard to doing away with the county-wide voting on Election Day. Basically, when we hold early voting, that's how we conduct early voting. You have all of the available ballots available at all the polling locations. And so you turn around and do that on Election Day, as opposed to the precinct system in the past, where you could consolidate precincts on Election Day, but you would have to designate certain polling places for certain precincts. And in my many years of working in elections, I've probably been in elections now for about 20 years, more than likely, because I started as a poll worker clerk probably about 20 years ago. I'd take off from work and take a paid vacation in order to come do the civic duty of working in elections. And I wish more people would do that, because we need more good people who are willing to spend their time to aid in the process. But from way back then, I've often seen angry voters because, for example, one, and I do not remember his name, and this happened probably 15 or 20 years ago when I was a poll worker. He lived across the street from T.J. Taylor, but he had to drive all the way down to Scottsville to vote. You know, and that's what the precinct system does to you. Additionally, in the precinct system, if you happen to be in the wrong place and could not get to the right place, you would have to vote provisionally. Well, voting provisionally would get your address updated, but in that particular instance, their vote would not count because they were in the wrong place, and it would not apply. Now, in the countywide system, that doesn't matter because we have all the precincts available at all the locations. And so, matter of fact, this past election, we had about 30,000 people that voted. Out of those 30,000 people, we had 22 who voted provisional. And that was because they were changing their address primarily, and only 2 of those were rejected because they weren't registered at all or else weren't registered in time. So I thought that was a pretty good record. I remember one of the big elections in the past, whenever I was later serving on the early voting ballot board, we had 69 provisional ballots came in from one polling place. And a good number of those were rejected because of the reasons that are given in the early voting ballot board handbook. So I'm giving you all a little education there, kind of leading up to the next thing that I have there, a little bit of explanation. So what I was asking the court to do is what Greg has done, Marion has done, in Austin County, and quite a few other of the counties. And mind you, not all the counties within the state are on the countywide program because the state is only allowing, I believe it's 4 counties each year to apply for and to carry it out and see if they can do it and so on. But just a resolution to possibly send to the legislators that, hey, we would like to keep the countywide polling place system. And so it's a great convenience to the voters in having done that. Well, giving you a little bit of education maybe ahead of time there on some of those items, but that would be pretty much our report for now. We have a lot of things in process that we're still working on behind the scenes, even though we're not immediately holding an election. And so there's always work to do there. Do you have any questions about what I've shared with you so far? I just wanted to kind of bring you up to date on some of those things. If not, I'll go ahead to the resolution. Judge Sims, would you like for me to read that? And then if possible, I might explain a little bit more if there are any questions.
Sure, I'll go ahead and read the item. This is item number 4.
Sure.
Consideration and action regarding the approval of the resolution on keeping the countywide polling place program.
Sure. I noticed most everybody wrote their resolution in favor of being against what they were doing there, so I changed mine to read in favor of keeping it instead of being against what they're doing in the legislature. So same thing in a more positive way. Unfortunately, sometimes the lawmakers write things in a confusing way. I thought, make it more clear. But a resolution in favor of keeping the countywide polling place program. Whereas Harrison County is geographically a large county with odd-shaped voting precincts and with much rural area. And whereas Harrison County has participated in the countywide program now for several years with good success and no serious complaints. And whereas under the precinct-based system, an increase in the number of provisional ballots and voter frustration would occur as voters will be required to vote in their assigned voting precinct. And whereas voters have experienced tremendous convenience in having the ability to vote anywhere on election day, just like they can during early voting, it would be impracticable and unwise to now take away that privilege. And whereas a requirement of the countywide program is the use of electronic poll books so that real-time voter check-ins may be viewed and verified across the county, and that the Secretary of State annually certifies all the voting equipment and electronic poll books. And whereas counties are now required to post a list of who voted by 11 a.m. the next day, that would be quite difficult without the electronic poll books. And whereas counties are able to reduce the number of polling places on election day as long as all voters are still served, enables counties to save some of the cost of conducting elections. And further, whereas the electronic voting equipment itself is more favorable than hand-marked ballots to persons with disabilities, now therefore be it resolved that the undersigned elected officials do oppose the elimination of countywide polling places and therefore wish to retain countywide polling places and to also retain the use of electronic poll books and electronic voting equipment. And now if I might just make a couple of comments, or if you have any questions. The countywide polling place system does require the use of electronic poll books, as it says in the resolution there, so that we can know when people are voting or if anyone were to try to vote twice or something of that nature. Therefore, the electronic poll books do connect to the internet. They are the only piece of equipment in the voting that does connect to the internet. All the other actual voting equipment is always offline. It does not have any kind of modems or any kind of connectability or anything, so that's always a security feature there. And let's see, I was going to make another comment about something, but it skips my mind right now. But that is a part of the countywide thing, that be required there. So some of the bills that go before the legislature are to eliminate this or do various things. We cannot anticipate everything, but we thought we might give us a little bit of leverage if we have to go to Austin and testify or to make a plea before the legislatures, that we would have the backing of our commissioners' court. And so that's the purpose of the resolution today.
Thank you, Mr. Robinette. Is there a
Thank you.
motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Timmons, second by Commissioner Ebar. Any questions or comments? Mr. Robinette, actually you and your staff worked really hard to get us to this countywide polling place program where we can vote anywhere on election day and of course early voting. And
Sure.
I think it works very well, and I wouldn't want us for us to lose it. So,
Yeah.
I'm certainly in favor of what you've written here. And I've been happy with the electronic voting,
Sure.
that was people were skeptical about using a computer to vote on and how, easy it is and whatever.
Sure.
It seems like it's all on. I haven't gotten any complaints, and it seems to be very popular with people.
Yes, sir, it does, and it is actually more accessible for anyone who may be handicapped, because on a paper ballot, they would have to be able to read it and then have to be able to mark it, or else be assisted, someone sworn in to assist. But on the electronic equipment, and I try to train all the poll workers on this, which we did a lot of dummy election setup things and actually showed poll workers some of the ins and outs of some of the different things that could happen on the electronic equipment this past time. I think it was probably some of our better classes, but not to pat myself on the back, but people learn in different ways, so we tried to do a more hands-on thing. Any voter going to the Duo to vote, they can touch a little button up here in the top left, and they can change the size of the font. They can make it extra large, or they can make it smaller, or they can change the background. There's 3 different backgrounds that are there. They can change from English to Spanish or back and forth. And so also, if someone has a hearing impediment, we do record, and I pay someone to come and do the Spanish for each ballot. And I usually do the English, but it's a little bit slower to do the thing where you have to listen to the headphones and hear the ballot read, but that is a possibility there as well. And so it has a lot of features there that do help out people who may be handicapped as well. So,
I'd like to take a minute
Sure.
to thank both of these ladies that over here. They're super helpful. When I'm a little needy sometimes, and these ladies always answer my questions, and I'm never in there when they're not busy, and they will stop doing what they're doing to help me out. It does not go unnoticed. I'd like to thank both of y'all personally very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Robinette.
Yeah. So.
Even though I'm limited to one question, I usually pick a good one. So. Thank y'all very much.
Anytime anyone in the public needs some access to anything, we do our best to try to be assistant to everyone, because it is the people's office to a large degree. We seek to serve the people of Harrison County. And so thank you for your support of us, and we'll try to keep you posted of anything that comes up or if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robinette. We do have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, our motion passes 5-0. Our next item, number 5, is consideration and approval of the reappointment of Stuart Agner, Charlene Graff, Keith Purvis, Shirley Shivers, and Keith Hill to serve as fire commissioners for Emergency Services District Number 3 for another 2-year term. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ebar, second by Commissioner Coos. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, our motion passes 5-0. Number 6 is consideration and approval of the renewal of the bond for Keith Purvis as the treasurer for ESD number 3.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hatfield, second by Commissioner Ebar. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0. Item number 7 is consideration and approval of the appointment of Sherry Fisher to replace B. White on the Historical Commission Board.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Hatfield, second by Commissioner Timmons. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, our motion passes 5-0. Number 8, consideration and action regarding the approval of the plan document and summary plan description for Harrison County effective January 1st, 2008 and restated January 1st, 2024. It's a cost plus PPO plan. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion, second.
Motion by Commissioner Hatfield, second by Commissioner Ebar. This is our medical plan that gets updated as we change and make amendments to our medical plan. Of course, we are self-insured, so we're able to make those adjustments as we see fit. And they have updated our plan. This is the new plan document. We have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Make sure we got anything to say.
I'm sorry, I didn't even see you come up there, Sharon. I was rolling. Did y'all see that?
Good morning, Judge and
Talk to
Commissioners.
us about that.
This is simply a restatement of our health insurance plan document. Typically, we do this every year or so, depending on how many amendments need to be included. So what they do is they take any amendment, update the document. That way, we're working off of one document, not various versions of amendments in the main document. This time, the only thing that was updated was related to a retiree who is who has been rehired, and it relates to their billing, when their billing classification changes. So what we're doing is having a rehired retiree stay, because they're on the same insurance plan as the rest of us. So we just have them stay as a retiree during the 90-day waiting period until they're active, until like every other active employee's benefits take place.
So then they come off of, is it United Healthcare?
No, that's for the over 65. They're a little bit different,
Okay, so
but
this is a younger retiree.
correct. So they would just continue on their retiree plan, just like they have been for 90 days, then they move into the active plan.
So anybody under 65 is retired that comes back.
Yes, yes, and that's because this is the I-360 plan document and not the senior supplement.
Very good, thank you. Any other questions? Ms. Johnston? If not, we had a motion and a second, and I don't remember if we voted or not. I don't think so. So let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, our motion passes 5-0. Next up, item number 9, this is consideration and approval to donate 5 intercom radios. Those are models 1C, F951, 1HT, serial numbers 210, 1323, 310, 1310, 210, 1308, and 210, 1324, 210, 1595. To the City of Gladewater Police Department with a value of approximately $12,000 per the request from the Harrison County Sheriff's Department. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Coos, second by Commissioner Timmons. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, our motion passes 5-0. Our last item, this is discussion and consideration regarding the placement of past, present, and future portraits of county judges and commissioners in the Harrison County Historic Courtroom and Rotunda. I know Ms. Jordan has been working on this, and I'm sure you guys have had a chance to see all the pictures that we have that aren't displayed anywhere of any of our past commissioners' courts. And you guys know we're limited on hanging things on the walls of the historic courthouse, unless we can figure out a way around that. Or the question I guess today is, do you have any ideas? And Ms. Jordan, I know you've been working on this. You may have some ideas or suggestions. And Ms. Graff, y'all been talking about it on how or where to display any of these. Anybody have any thoughts?
How many?
Do you know how many there are, Ms. Jordan? There's probably, I would guess, half a dozen or so. It didn't seem like more than 10, so it's 6 or 8 maybe.
think it'd be nice to have him, you know, just for reference, but I'd like to see if we figure out a way to do it, that we somehow have them reframed where all the frames are identical, so they don't change. You just have a barrage of different shapes and colors and stuff and that we would, you know, buy 6 or 8 extra when they were done, so for future use, we wouldn't have to try to struggle to find,
That's a good idea.
frames. But I think it'd be nice to put them up, and remember some of the courts that past judges. I know when you walk in some of the courtrooms over in the other building, they've got all these pictures on the wall of prior judges and different things, so.
Yes, ma'am.
We had discussed, and Cruz Rents come in and talked with Ms. Jordan and I, and Ms. Stevens was in there, that we were thinking about hanging them in between the windows, but we had to get permission from the Historic Commission. So, in order to hang anything on the walls, and I think that's where we're at right now, trying to figure out how to get in contact with them, or who to contact to see if we could do that. And Mr. Vincent thought that was a good idea too. He thought if we could hang it, that would be better than trying to put them on an easel or something like that.
And I think Mr. Malanaphy from the State Historical Commission is supposed to be here maybe early February.
Yeah, he's supposed to be.
And he'd be a good one for us to ask. It seems very appropriate. I agree to hang them in between our windows. It'd look really nice, and I guess we could fill up the upper deck too, once we got this bottom one filled. And I like the idea of all the same frames and buying several extras for future courses.
Well, I think there's gonna be a big discrepancy, because I know when you look around the building itself, there are pictures hung on the wall that have just been a hanger drilled in or put into the wall. I could understand if you were putting something that you were gonna take down in a couple of months and change, and you would have places that you had to either patch or whatever. But I would think that something that you were putting up permanent and it was all uniform and alike, and you were gonna leave, that we could pretty, I don't know why we can't have them done right the first time and not worry about it falling out of the wall and leaving a hole in the wall. So I mean, I just, it's hard for me to have to ask permission from the Historical Society for something that we're charged with to maintain and take care of. I mean, we're not redoing a historical building, it's already been done. So I would say that we move forward and do what we wanna do in it. But, I mean, maybe we need to, it's easier to ask for forgiveness to me.
That's, yeah.
Because I've had too many dealings on different projects since I've sat in this chair. And if you want to get screwed up, get the Historical Commission involved in it. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's just, to me, this is our building. You know,
That's
the
where
county
I'm at.
and the people's building. And if we wanna put past judges or commissioners' pictures on the wall, then I think we ought to put them up.
And I think a lot of things have changed. Since I've been on the court, there was a sunset in there where that the Historical Commission didn't have quite as much control over this building as they did earlier. I mean,
we're the ones that paid to do it. The Historical Commission out of Austin, I hadn't seen a check come across the desk that they paid for anything that's happened in this building in the 10 years that I've been here. So if they wanna contribute and run this building, then they need to put us on the payroll down there and send us some of that state money down here to help take care
well,
of it.
they need to help us out with the electric bill.
Exactly. So, I mean, I'm sorry, I mean, but
And I will agree, in between the windows would really be nice.
Also, when this was operating courthouse, and we had just about every department in here, there was things on the wall, I would imagine, then. So if that was okay then, it ought to be okay now.
Well, there's things on the wall now that have been put up.
Right.
And they've been here, I know for 10 years, and I haven't seen anybody get their hands slapped for the way that they were put up. So it's just
Absolutely.
hard for me to envision us asking for permission to do something that we,
And
Very
thank,
good. Go ahead, Commissioner.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that this is not an action item, it's really for discussion, but unless anybody is opposed to this, I'd like to ask Ms. Jordan to go ahead and get those pictures resized. Let's pick us out a nice frame for all the pictures we have and buy half a dozen more frames extra. And then we'll get them placed where we want them. Does anybody have a problem with that?
Not a bit.
All right.
And I'd like to thank Ms. Jordan for bringing that to our attention, because those things just been up there
In the closet.
in the closet. So, yeah, let's move on it.
Very good. All right. If there is nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Commissioner Timmons, second by Commissioner Ebar, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0, 10:07, we're adjourned.